Today we'll talk about creatures that have quietly but confidently captured our homes, hearts, and the internet. Yes, we're talking about cats. These mysterious beings have lived alongside humans for thousands of years, yet still maintain an aura of mystery. Have you ever wondered why a cat appeared specifically in your life? And more importantly, what can it teach us? Surely many of you are smiling right now, remembering your furry companion. Perhaps it's even sitting nearby as you watch this video, observing what's happening with its typical indifference. Or, more likely, it's simply sleeping, curled up in a ball, in the most comfortable spot in the house. But let's start from the beginning. How did cats become part of human civilization? The history of cat domestication dates back about 10,000 years. Archaeological findings on the island of Cyprus show that even then, people and cats lived side by side. In ancient Egypt, cats were considered sacred animals. The goddess Bastet was depicted with a cat's head, and killing a cat was punishable by death. Can you imagine how highly these animals were valued? Unlike dogs, which humans deliberately tamed for hunting and protection, cats came to us on their own. When people began farming and storing grain, rodents appeared, followed by wild cats that hunted them. That's how this amazing symbiosis began. We could say that we didn't tame cats. They themselves decided to stay with us when they realized it was beneficial. Now let's move to modern times. Why did a cat appear specifically in your life? Of course, everyone has their own story. Some purposefully went to a shelter for a new friend, some found a kitten on the street, and some were simply approached by a furry creature that came and stayed. But what if there's some deeper meaning in all this? There's a belief that cats don't come to us by chance. They intuitively choose their owners, sensing who exactly needs their help and support. Perhaps at the moment when a cat appeared in your life, you were particularly lonely or anxious. Or maybe you were going through a difficult period and needed silent understanding. Research shows that interacting with cats reduces stress levels and can even normalize blood pressure. The sound of a cat's purr has a frequency from 25 to 150 Hz. These are exactly the vibrations used in medicine to accelerate tissue healing. Amazing, isn't it? It turns out that when a cat purrs on your lap, it's literally healing you. But let's talk about what these amazing creatures can teach us. If you look more closely, cats are true philosophers and sages. They just don't like to spread this information around. The first and perhaps most important lesson cats give us is the ability to live in the present moment. Have you ever observed how a cat basks in the sun? It's completely immersed in the process, enjoying every second, not thinking about the past and not worrying about the future. In our constantly hurrying world, where we continually replay past mistakes or worry about tomorrow, such an ability seems almost supernatural. What about independence? Cats are amazingly self-sufficient creatures. They love us, but aren't emotionally dependent on us. They can spend hours doing their own things and then suddenly come and settle nearby when they want to. Doesn't this remind you of healthy relationships between people? Being close but maintaining your individuality, not dissolving into another person? Another important lesson is the ability to rest and recover. Cats sleep on average from 15 to 20 hours a day, and they feel absolutely no guilt about it. In a world where productivity is elevated to a cult and rest is often perceived as laziness, such an attitude seems revolutionary. Perhaps we should follow the example of our furry friends and learn to give ourselves time to recover without self-flagellation. How about a cat's grace and self-confidence? Even if a cat misses a jump or falls from a windowsill, it immediately acts as if that's exactly what it planned to do. No embarrassment or shame, only royal dignity. Imagine how your life would change if you treated your mistakes and failures the same way. Cats also teach us the importance of personal boundaries. They decide for themselves when they want affection and when they prefer to be alone. And if you try to violate these boundaries, for example, pet a cat when it doesn't want it, the result can be quite painful. Isn't this an excellent lesson for people who often forget about their own boundaries or don't respect others? But perhaps the most amazing lesson cats give us is unconditional love. Yes, despite all their independence and seeming detachment, cats know how to love. They just express it in their own way. When a cat brings you a gift in the form of a caught mouse or insect, it shows care. When it purrs, settled on your lap, it expresses trust and affection. When it rubs against your legs, it marks you as its human. Interestingly, cats are among the few animals that meow exclusively to communicate with humans. Among themselves, they use other sounds. That is, they literally learned human language so we could understand them. Isn't this a manifestation of true love and desire to be closer? Now let's talk about how cats affect our daily lives. Many owners note that with the appearance of a cat, their home became cozier and more alive. There's indeed something special about coming home and seeing a furry creature meeting you. Even if it's meeting you not out of love, but because it's dinner time, it's still pleasant. Cats also help us become more organized and responsible. After all, now you need to remember about feeding, cleaning the litter box, regular visits to the vet. For many people, especially young ones, caring for a cat becomes their first experience of real responsibility for another living being, and cats are excellent psychotherapists. They know how to listen without interrupting or giving unsolicited advice. You can spend hours telling your cat about your problems, and it will listen attentively, sometimes agreeing with purring. And what's most pleasant, it will never tell anyone your secrets. Research shows that people who have cats are less likely to suffer from depression and anxiety disorders. Simply stroking a cat's fur promotes the production of oxytocin, a hormone responsible for feelings of attachment and trust. And observing a cat's measured movements acts almost like meditation, helping to calm down and focus on the present moment. But of course, life with a cat isn't always perfect. Sometimes they can be real mischief makers, knocking things off the table, scratching furniture, waking you up at 5 in the morning, demanding breakfast. However, even in these situations, cats teach us important things. Patience, the ability to find compromises, and not to fixate on material values. Speaking of material values, have you noticed that cats often ignore expensive toys, preferring an ordinary cardboard box or crumpled piece of paper? Perhaps they are reminding us that happiness isn't in things, but in the simple joys of life? And how do cats relate to failures? If a cat couldn't catch a fly or jump onto a high shelf, it doesn't despair. It either makes another attempt or, as if nothing happened, switches to something else. An excellent example of how to deal with life's difficulties, isn't it? Another important lesson from cats is the ability to stand up for your interests. If a cat wants something, it will persistently pursue it. Whether it's food, attention, or an open door, it will find a way to let you know what it wants, and won't back down until it gets what it desires. In a world where we're often taught to suppress our desires and adapt to others, such determination seems almost revolutionary. It's also interesting that cats know how to find a balance between sociability and solitude. They can be playful and sociable, or they can sit alone for hours, watching what's happening from their secluded corner. In the modern world, where we're constantly connected thanks to technology, such ability to switch between communication and solitude becomes especially valuable. And cats are real masters of self-care. They carefully lick their fur, keeping it perfectly clean. They stretch, working out their muscles. They instinctively know which herbs to eat if they're feeling unwell. All this reminds us of the importance of taking care of our own body and health. Returning to the question of why a cat appeared in your life, perhaps it came exactly when you needed exactly such a teacher who doesn't lecture or give direct instructions, but by example shows how to live more harmoniously and consciously. Of course, not all people are cat people. Some prefer dogs, some prefer other pets, and some aren't ready to share their home with animals at all, and that's completely normal. But if there's a cat in your life, perhaps it's worth paying more attention to it sometimes. After all, behind its seeming simplicity hides real-life wisdom. In conclusion, I want to say that the relationship between humans and cats is an amazing example of mutually beneficial coexistence of two very different species. We give cats shelter, food, and care, and they give us their presence, warmth, and those important life lessons we talked about today. So the next time your cat is peacefully sleeping in the middle of a workday, don't rush to envy it. Better look more closely and think, perhaps it's not just resting, but teaching you another lesson in the art of living here and now. I hope this video made you look at your furry companion in a new way. And if you don't have a cat yet, but after our conversation, you're thinking about getting one, remember that thousands of cats in shelters are waiting for their human. Perhaps among them is the very one that has chosen you. Thank you for your attention. If the video was helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And in the comments, tell us what your cat has taught you. See you next time.